Assalamualaikum. Let me introduce myself. My name is Intan Rofi'ah from Magister of Mathematics Education Universitas Sebelas Maret. Today, I will talk about my journal article for I-CMME 2021. The title is Analysis of Formative Assessment of Mathematics Subjects in Learning from Home Process. Before we begin, I wanted to highlight exactly what I want you to take away from this presentation. First, education is currently being affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, which requires the government to implement the learning from home policy. In the present, implementation of learning from home is carried out online by Surat Edaran Nomor 4 Tahun 2020 concerning the implementation of education in an emergency of coronavirus disease. During the learning from home, learning and assessing mathematics subjects will undoubtedly experience many obstacles. Second, learning from home process in mathematics is arranged online on any platform such as Kuiper, Office 365, WhatsApp, and other supporting media. In 1 week, mathematics learning conducted in one meeting in 2 hours. The teachers will provide materials such as video or PowerPoint slides and assignment during the learning process. To determine students' competencies, the teachers conducted the assessment process during the learning process and at the end of the learning session. Why do we choose formative assessment? Here are the reasons. First, because students have not reached their maximum competence. So, during learning, the teacher has not been able to monitor and evaluate the students' competencies. And competence cannot be achieved because the teacher has not optimally implemented formative assessment. What is the purpose of this research? The purpose of this research is to analyze the formative assessment carried out in mathematics learning during the learning from home process. This research used a qualitative approach with semi-structured in-depth interview with a mathematics teacher at SMA Negeri, Surakarta. On formative assessment during learning from home process, we use instruments such as an interview sheet to collect data and information about the implementation of formative assessment conducted by mathematics teacher at SMA Negeri, Surakarta. This research also assisted by supporting data in the form of students' work and assessment sheets. Researchers used the analysis technique model of Miles and Huberman, namely data collection, data reduction, data presentation, and drawing conclusion or data verification. We will discuss further about the result of this research. First, about learning from home process. During learning from home, the teacher conducts lessons once a week. The math teacher initiated the class by sending a video for one basic competence sent through the WhatsApp group. Students are asked to summarize the video contents into a notebook, which must be collected via WhatsApp one day after the material is given. Learning process is also organized through other media such as email, Kuiper, and Office 365. Second, about its obstacles. However, students often ignore the material during learning from home. When we ask the time for collecting students' material summarized, the teacher states that the due of sending summarized was dependent on students' activeness, so not all students gather material summarized. And here you can also read the summary of the interview. The assessment process conducted during learning from home process is different from the assessment during the learning process in class. Assessment is carried out by the teacher on every aspect of competence. For attitude competence, teachers assess students based on activeness. Students are said to be active if they often ask the teacher and collect assignment. For knowledge competencies, The teacher evaluates students based on the assignment. For skill competencies, the teacher evaluates students based on the neatness of the summary writing and the student creativity to do the problems. And teachers must also design well-planned assessment. For example, in the written lesson plan or RPP. Based on the interview result, the teacher didn't develop the mathematics lesson plan during learning from home and used the lesson plan during the class meeting. The assessment during the learning from home has not progressed optimally. It can be seen when the teacher has explained the material. The teacher assumes that the students have understood the material. This incident was caused by the teacher can supervise students directly as in the classroom meeting. The teacher also stated that he did not recognize the students, so learning was only one way. Giving material at the beginning of the lesson, then doing practice question and giving marks at the end of the class. The minimum of supervision and assessment affected measuring student competence and the quality of learning. Based on information that we gather, teachers and students need to conduct formative assessment. The following table is an analysis of formative assessment conducted by SMA Negeri Surakarta in mathematics learning during learning from home. Based on variation of formative assessment characteristic by Macmillan. The implementation of formative assessment during learning from home process is classified as low-level formative. The implementation of low-level formative learning indicates that the assessment is conducted rudimentary because it ignores the characteristic of formative and incomplete assessment. Based on Coley and Macmillan, there are two types of achievement targets, namely performance goal and mastery goals. Performance goal orientation focuses on comparing the ability of each student. The teacher evaluates simultaneously and rewards students whose achievement exceeds other students. This condition is appropriate with the finding in Macmillan's table, where the mathematics teacher giving feedback at SMA Negeri 8 is carried out a few days after the assignment is submitted. The feedback is in the form of an answer key from the question exercise. The teacher evaluates based on each student progress to provide opportunities for students to develop, see mistakes as part of learning, and the teacher evaluates students personally. Typical students with a performance goal orientation tend to procrastinate and show a habit of cheating. This incident also happened to students at SMA Negeri 8, such as procrastinating. Some students even did not collect the assignment at all or change name on other student answer sheets. In contrast to low-level formative, high-level formative has an impact on student learning motivation. Learning motivation is needed as an encouragement for students to achieve learning goals. The implementation of the assessment at SMA 8 Surakarta cannot be categorized as maximum because it doesn't impact student motivation during learning from home. In SMA 8 students, motivation is extrinsic to teacher-centered learning, so that the teacher plays a significant role in motivating students during the learning process. This finding is not in line with the research conducted by Budiono, which concluded that the formative assessment-based learning model AFL could increase the effectiveness of learning mathematics. The finding of this research indicates that the implementation of formative assessment in SMA Negeri 8 Surakarta during learning from home process is not optimal. This can be seen from the implementation of formative assessment that are not well planned by mathematics teacher. The teacher only assesses at the end of the learning summative cause the student competence and learning quality are not monitored during learning from home process. Based on the variation of formative assessment characteristic by Macmillan, the formative assessment conducted at SMA Negeri 8 Surakarta during learning from home process is classified as low-level formative because it ignores that the characteristic of formative assessment. From the result of the analysis conducted by researchers, it is necessary to develop a formative assessment model that can be used in learning from home. The formative assessment that is carried out must be well planned, can monitor the development of student competencies during learning from home. The feedback can be used by teachers and students and includes high-level formative so that teachers and students' involvement can contribute to formative assessment optimally. And that's all I can talk about my research for my paper. Thank you for your attention.